Yo, what's going on, Mini-Mats, and welcome to this week's video where I'm going to be giving you an in-depth look at the studio that I work in every single day. Let's get into it. Before we start delving into each piece of equipment that I use, I would just like to note that this studio is by no means finished, both from a practicality standpoint and aesthetically. I've just been piecing this together over the last 3 years or so since I started doing anime YouTube. But something I've just always kept in mind is the fact that I'm in the anime niche. So things that I have bought is to kind of work together so people that are new to the channel can go onto a video. They can see me playing with a certain background and they know, looking at that background, that I do specialize in anime covers. It's not just like a one-off video that they might think. So if any of you guys are watching this for inspiration, I would definitely keep that in mind before you start buying certain things to go into your background. Starting off with the computer that I use is the Apple iMac 2017. Now the reason I don't own a Windows PC is because the DAW that I use, or the music software that I record everything into, is Logic Pro X, and that's only available on Apple devices. I really love Logic. I've tried other softwares, I don't like them quite as much. Maybe just because I've been using this for over 6 years, I just know where I stand with it. And it's the same for the video editing software that I use, which is Final Cut Pro X. That's only available on Apple devices as well, so I'm probably going to stick with iMac for the foreseeable future. The speakers that I use are KRK Rokit 5s. They are an industry standard for starting out with. They're not the highest quality, but they're not the most expensive. My room isn't really treated either for mixing, so I don't use them excessively during that process. It's mainly different headphones, but they are good as a reference point. I recently upgraded to the Focusrite Scarlett 18i20 for my audio interface. This is the 3rd generation model, and before that I was using the Focusrite Scarlett 2i4. I had no issue with that really, but what I wanted was something that fit in the rack slots of my desk first and foremost, and I also wanted more options in terms of ins and outs, and I wanted 2 separate headphone outs, so that's the reason why I upgraded to this one. Above that I have the Samson PowerBrite PB10. This isn't anything technically fancy, this is just where I plug everything into, so if there are power cuts in the house, that kind of protects any of the equipment getting damaged. Moving on to the right hand side of the desk is the Fractal Audio Systems Axe-FX 2. This is where I get all of my guitar tones from. It's basically a unit where you can load up hundreds of different simulations of amp heads, cabinets, pedals, effects. There's so many different options within this thing, honestly. I'm not the best at dialing in tones, but I've owned this for like 2 or 3 years, and over that time I've dialed in the tones that I use in my covers and that I'm happy with. I will make the upgrade to the Axe-FX 3 that came out fairly recently soon though, but for now this thing has served me brilliantly. Underneath is the keyboard that I never really use. It's the iRig Keys Pro. I bought it like years ago when I started doing anime covers, thinking it'd be useful for when I have to do like synth parts or like drums or keyboard. But to be honest, I just find it a lot easier just to use the mouse and click the notes into the MIDI roll on the actual computer screen. So I don't use this, to be fair. 2 of the most important pieces of equipment on this desk are the monitoring headphones. The first pair are the Technica ATH M50s. These are widely regarded as one of the best mixing headphones money can buy, and considering they're about £100, they've served me absolutely amazingly well and they sound incredible. I've had them for 7 or 8 years, so based on that fact I was in the market for an open back pair of headphones because they are closed back, and I decided to stick with Audio Technica and get the ATH R70X, and I love them as well so far. The chair that I use is a GT Omega racing chair. I've got to admit, as a guitarist, it's not the finest choice I've ever made because the armrests don't come off. They are a little bit in the way. I am used to it because I just sit right on the edge of the chair to kind of avoid them being too heavily impactful on my playing, but I will get another chair at some point where they don't have armrests. But I will keep this one because it is comfortable, it is cool looking, but yeah, it can get in the way a little bit. On the left hand side of the studio I've got a bookshelf with a variety of different anime merchandise. I wanted to have that because when people come to the channel and if they see only a first video from me and they see that background, it kind of lets people know that I do specialize in anime covers as well, like what I alluded to at the start of the video. Well, I've got the Tokyo Ghoul complete set at the top shelf with the Made in Abyss. I have read them as well, it's not just there for show. I've also got a variety of different pop vinyls that have been gifts. They're from Comic-Con conventions I've been to and just some that I've ordered online. I'm a huge fan of Dragon Ball, as you can tell from the tattoos that I've got, so I've got the complete illustrations of Dragon Ball. Behind that, which is kind of hidden away, I've got a Yu-Gi-Oh binder as well. probably like 4 or 5 years ago, I went through a bit of a phase where I started collecting all the Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I used to use way back in the day, from when Yu-Gi-Oh was like at its peak of popularity. So I've kept them for a bit of nostalgia. Underneath that, I've got 2 of my favorite starter Pokemon, Mudkip and Charizard as well. The water and the fire types, they're my favorite out of any starter that you can select from, so I thought they'd be cool to have down there. And yeah, that's the background that I thought I'd build up to kind of make it look a bit cooler in my videos. Moving on to the coloured lighting that I added to my setup a couple of months ago. The first is just basically something I wanted to go onto the right hand side of the desk just to kind of fill a little bit of a gap. It's from Amazon, and I put a multicoloured light in there as well, just so I can change the different lights that it comes out. It's not just an amber light on it. And then above that on the background wall is the Nanoleaf 9-piece set. This is quite expensive considering it's just LED lights, but you can configure it in whatever shape you want, because you get 9 triangles and you can basically link them up to go into any shape that you want, and they'll all connect together. And then you can also sync it to music as well. I don't use this as much as I thought I would in videos, but I like to go on the application on the phone and then basically just build out different color schemes, like if you want like a blue to a light blue to a white, you can kind of do that, or a red to an orange. You can basically build out whatever color settings that you want them to play out on the background of the videos. Moving on to the guitars that I use, I actually own 9 altogether, but I'm going to show you the main 4 that I use in each video. The first one is the Mayones Regia 7. I got this a month or so ago. If you want to check out the unboxing for it, the card is coming up on screen now, so you can check out the in-depth kind of talk about that if you like. As for the infamous red guitar that I have had probably thousands of comments about asking which guitar this is, it's the Mayones Duvell Elite 6. It's the main 6-string that I've used throughout all of this time I've been doing anime covers. It's absolutely incredible. It's probably my favorite guitar that I've ever played. It feels amazing, it sounds amazing, it's so versatile, and to be honest, I'm just really happy that this is the main guitar that I use, just because it sounds so amazing across the board. Another guitar that you can check out the unboxing for is the Fender American Elite Telecaster. I got this because so many anime songs and J-pop songs use Telecasters within them, and it has such a certain tone to it that I couldn't replicate quite as well as I wanted to on the Duvell Elite 6. So I got this just to kind of go with the kind of mid-gain sort of tones, and it sounds amazing, it feels amazing, and it just looks amazing as well. So if you do want to check out the unboxing for that, the card is on screen now. As for the bass guitar that I use, it's the Dingwall Combustion 4. This sounds absolutely incredible for the grittier kind of tones that you can get on bass. So it works amazingly well for rock and metal, and even like the lighter sort of songs if you have the right bass tone dialed in. It sounds amazing across the board. As for the back of the studio, which you pretty much never see on this channel, I obviously have the rack of guitars that we just spoke about. I have a ReZero wall scroll, because I'm a huge fan of ReZero, and that was actually bought at the London Comic Con, which was the first one I ever went to a couple of years ago. That's a bit of memorabilia from that weekend. I have a mini set of drawers, which basically just has my camera equipment in it. It has lighting equipment as well for recording videos, and just general cables and miscellaneous things. And then we just have a wardrobe on the right hand side, just as an extra bit of storage for the rest of the house. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed this studio tour, but before I sign the video off, I'd like to thank all of you guys over on Patreon. Without your support, I cannot be doing this full time to put out such high quality anime covers and videos in general. So we've got nearly 300 members over on there signing up for the rewards and to support me, to keep me going doing this. So thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. I cannot do this without you, don't underestimate that. And of course the YouTube fam, we're approaching 300,000 subscribers now. This video is in celebration of 250k, so that's absolutely amazing. And of course next week we're coming back with the anime cover, so hopefully you guys are looking forward to that, and hopefully I'll see you here next week. Bye bye.